the name of a lucky fourth grader. This child will get to make up a Christmas story and tell to all the school at next Friday Assembly.
Choose me! Fellow Big Eddie, the boy whose dad owned a toy store.
Choose me!
Commented Cool Katie, the coolest girl in class.
Choose me!
Mumbled Munchie Max, the skinny kid who was always eating.
Boggle Breed Cheese. Replied Redheaded Robbie. Mrs. Wallace frowned. Robbie could feel his face turn red, and he dropped his head to his desk. He had done it again. What Robbie meant to say, "Don't choose me." Red-headed Robbie spoke perfectly fine when talking to his parents or his friends. But whenever Robbie felt nervous or excited or upset, the first words that jumped from his lips usually made no sense.
Robbie's silly words were funny, but his classmates never laughed. He shared his lunch treats with them, and he didn't hog the swings at recess. Yes, they all liked Robbie.
Big Eddie said,
Red-headed Robbie didn't mean that, Mrs. Wallace. He's just nervous.
Mrs. Wallace continued. She looked back at the slip of paper and read,
The winner is Robbie.
"Oh no,"
said Big Eddie. It can't be so,
said Cool Katie. "Oh, bad show,"
Said Munchie Max.
Pupper frowned. Said Redheaded Robbie. That night, Robbie wrote a story about a snowflake that landed on a fruitcake and thought it was a raisin. The story was lame, but Robbie knew it. The next day, Big Eddie asked Robbie, "How's the story going, Red-headed Robbie?" "I need help. Make up a story about a boy who gets so many presents it takes him 2 days to open them all." "Christmas isn't about giving presents. It's a time we give gifts to people who have less than us." I guess I never thought about Christmas that way. Sorry I didn't help with your story. The next day after school, Robbie visited Cool Kate.
How's the story going, Red-headed Robbie?
"I need help."
Make up a story about a cool girl who does a really cool Christmas party.
Christmas isn't a time for being cool. It's a time for being nice to someone new. Maybe someone who's shy.
I never thought about Christmas that way. Sorry I didn't help you with your story.
When the time came for the fourth grade performance, Mrs. Wallace said, the next day after school, Robbie visited Munchie Max. "Robbie, how's your story going?" "I need help. Can you tell a story about a kid who wanted to hide his Christmas present, asked payback for breaking his candy canes?" "But Christmas isn't a time for payback. It's a time to forgive." "I never thought about Christmas that way. Sorry I didn't help." When the time came for the fourth grade performance, Mrs. Wallace said,
Robbie will now tell us his Christmas story.
Robbie stood before the assembly. His stomach felt like it was filled with hot candle wax.
Robbie took a deep breath and started to tell his story.
"What be waiting?" he said. Then Robbie's face was very red. Some first graders pointed and smiled. Others started to giggle.
Redheaded Robbie knows a Christmas story. It's about a boy who thought Christmas meant getting presents. Then an angel with red hair told him that Christmas it's a time for giving to those that don't have much. That's Robbie's Christmas story.
Cool Kate left her seat. She stood next to Robbie and put her hand on his arm.
Redheaded Robbie knows a Christmas story about a girl who thought all about being cool. Then an angel with red hair told the girl that Christmas is a time for being nice to someone new, maybe to someone who is shy. After the angel left, the girl made friends with a girl from a shy kid from another school, and they became friends. That's Robbie's Christmas story.
Max got up from his seat and he stood next to Robbie and handed him the chips he was eating. Redheaded Robbie knows a Christmas story about a kid who wanted to hide his little sister's Christmas present as payback for breaking her brother's candy canes. The angel told the brother that Christmas is time to forgive, not payback. After the angel left, the brother forgave his little sister and took her sledding. That's Robbie's Christmas story. The assembly stood and clapped. They didn't stop until Mrs. Wallace stood next to Robbie and asked for quiet. She wiped away a tear and said,
Thank you, Robbie, for your wonderful Christmas story. Let each person here follow Robbie's advice.
Give before you take. Show kindness to someone new. Forgive a person who hurt you.
Mrs. Wallace looked at Robbie. Did I forget to say anything?